delighted today to talk about our upcoming spring auction in Cape Town, which is going to be held at the Vineyard next weekend, and the sale taking place on Monday the 15th. As usual, the Strauss team has put together an exceptional collection of works from decorative arts, jewelry, furniture, and beautiful paintings and sculptures. And there's a virtual smorgasbord of gems waiting to be discovered. So we're very excited about the sale, and we've also feel very proud that we've been entrusted to handle some very important collections. The Labia collection, the Strauss collection. We're also auctioning some works on behalf of the Irma Stern Museum, and my colleagues will talk in some more detail about these respective collections. I'd like to just talk very quickly about some of my favorite works that's coming on auction, starting with, in the first instance, with this very interesting work by Kenneth Bakker. Kenneth is a today a much underrated artist in South Africa. He lived with his wife, Bernadette Biden, in Simonstown, right on the water's edge, and both of them suffered from frail health. So Kenneth got very interested in the patterns that the sea was making as it retracts from the land. And he found very innovative ways of portraying that moment in time. And as we can see in the paintings, he used layers of paint, he built up, he used various different materials to create an image which at the same time is an abstract representation of what he was perceiving, but he also wove these very interesting structural elements into his work to give it an extra dimension. So they're at the same time a reflection of what was happening in nature, but in many other ways a pure abstracted work. And it's very interesting for me also that Kenneth Bakker won a major prize at the Sao Paulo Biennale in 1963, first South African artist to do so. We also have works by his wife, Bernadette Biden, very interesting sculptural, structural work on the auction. Another artist that I believe is substantially underrated today is Judith Mason. Judith passed away in 2016, and it left us with an incredible legacy of her work. It's a very substantial work in size, and it's got this beautiful amorphic hand with the candles around it, almost demonstrating the ability for the candle to be snuffed out at any point in time. But what makes this interesting is not only the dimensions of it and the composition of the scene, but the absolute beautiful brushwork that's present in the various candles. And I would encourage anyone to take a very close look at this work, because it tells a powerful story, but at the same time it's rendered in a very delicate way, sort of hinting at the delicacy of life. Another artist that is more common at auctions and that's very highly regarded is Maggie Loubser, and we have a particularly interesting work of Maggie's on the show, a work that I like very much. It's quite an avant-garde composition for its time. It was painted in 1930, a period when Maggie spent a couple of years in South Africa after having traveled extensively. And in this work, we can see clearly some aspects of the influence of German Expressionism, Fauvism that was happening in Europe at the time, which is synthesized in her own particular vision. This work has got a lovely sort of interplay between the cat and the pumpkin, and one can see how Maggie uses the color of the pumpkin that's reflected in the eyes of the cat and in the tail and in the lines of the chair behind it to make the composition work. And she creates a fantastic interplay between two very unlikely objects to be included in one painting, in what I think is a very powerful and mesmerizing painting. And I always wonder whether it was the pumpkin that mesmerized the cat, or whether the cat is looking at the pumpkin as though she's waiting for something to eat. So there's a lot of questions posed in this work, and I think it would be a delightful work to live with. Another work to just talk about very briefly is an Irma Stern that we've been privileged to be entrusted with to sell on behalf of the Irma Stern Trust, and for the benefit to go to the Irma Stern Museum and the Irma Stern Trust. Irma had a very significant love affair with Madeira, and she also had a love affair or two on the way to Madeira in her history, but she captures the lush landscape, very tropical, fast growing, and I think the whole scene is imbued with a sense of urgency and life.